of listening to the same old content? Tune in to Wells Radio 89.3 FM, the only radio other radio stations listen to.
Their jobs.
Right, many thanks for joining us this great Friday morning on Perspectives Unlimited. It's a great pleasure to be here again this morning. Thank you so much, Oyo State. Good morning to you, Nigeria, and good morning to you, Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State. This is 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio, and Oyo State's #1 family radio station, broadcasting live from Wells Broadcasting House along Alaafin Avenue, Oluyole, Estate Ibadan, the capital of your state. Perspectives Unlimited is live on radio this morning to take you through major dailies, stories making the round in our nation, Nigeria, for today. Today is Friday, the 8th day in the month of May 2026, the 5th month in the year 2026. And right from our studio, it is 6:34 a.m. Good morning. My name is Ayo Emmanuel-Ojo. Let's start our morning right after prayers, right after reflection, and so many other great, activities that we must have done to kickstart the day. Let's begin by keeping ourselves abreast of what's happening in the nation for today. Good morning. This morning on the program, we have the Punch newspaper, the Nigerian Tribune, and the Vanguard. And from the three dailies for today, we're going to run through top stories making the rounds for today. Let's begin with the Punch. Sunbeth to launch 70,000 naira MT cocoa, 80,000 naira MT cashew processing plant in March 2027. On page 8, 2027, Jonathan considers comeback as court hears eligibility suit today. of course, still the final story on the front page of the Punch. Primary elections, APC consensus, push faces resilience in states. Yobe, Ogun, Sokoto, Plateau, Kwara aspirant oppose consensus, demand competitive race. Ondo, Benue, Oyo, girl for primaries as Tinubu, Gov aspirant submit nomination forms. APC adopts direct primary for presidential ticket. Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune, major story: uncertainty over Jonathan's links to 2027 presidential contest. Contesting for the presidency is not a computer game. I will consult widely, he says, as youth rally at his Abuja residence, adds that Nigeria has highest voter apathy. Court to hear suit on eligibility today. Shopping on page 5. NAS governorship pre-election cases to start at Federal High Court. Presidency opens at Appeal Court, terminate at Supreme Court. And to, of course, one of the biggest stories possibly of the week, defections hit PDP in Oyo. Aspirant lead exodus, party members fill APM form. Uneasy calm over Adekambi as Makede's choice. Owosheni resigns as special advisor on security. Now, moving on to the Vanguard, I'm going to start with a photo story here where the Vice President Shettima submits Tinubu's nomination form. Vice President Kashim Shettima with members of the Progressives Governors Forum during the submission of the President Bola Tinubu presidential nomination and expression of interest form to the National Working Committee of the APC in Abuja. In South Africa, federal government moves to evacuate Nigerians from South Africa. Economists caution against blanket selection on South African companies. Targeting South African businesses inappropriate, counterproductive. It amounts to economic self-sabotage, says Oyedikachi. Nigeria can't afford to jeopardize future partnership with SA. On page 8, 2027, Jonathan weighs presidential comeback. On the same page, Senate makes U-turn, rescinds controversial rules, barring fourth-term senators. Comes with a couple of riders, 6 governors, 5 ex-governors. Later carried a loose wife. Betty joined 11th Senate race. On page 9, Nigeria now working. Shettima insists submit presidential nomination form. In Taraba, how I am handling local government autonomy, says Kefas. An oil price drops, marketers keep pump price high. You find that on page 19 for today, and that's all we can take on the front page segment of the program. Once again, welcome to the show.
FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
Taking their jobs. Okay, Nigerians, come home. I take over the job of MTN. Nigerians, come home. I take over the job of DSTV. When we hit back, the president of South Africa will not only talk, he will go on his knees to recognize that Nigerians cannot be intimidated, and we do not condone any war life being lost. If a crime has been committed under South African law, they have a right to bring any sort of person to justice. But to kill our people as if we are helpless, we are not. By the time we turn in the... Eric Oshomole, I represent the people of Edo North. I do not intend to repeat any of the statements that have been made very eloquently by all of those who have spoken. And my point is not only informed by the fact that we were all contributors to the struggle against apartheid. I remember very well that it was because of the struggle against apartheid that a Nigerian president, then head of state, Murtala Mohammed, declared before the Americans that Henry Kissinger, who was Secretary of State, was not welcome to Nigeria. In the words of General Murtala Mohammed, he said the era of gunboat diplomacy was over. Nigeria's commitment to eradication of apartheid is not negotiable. And they proceeded to nationalize British petroleum because the British too were supporting apartheid. So I can understand the pain that where we have built relationship, today we are looked at as if we are a burden. But for me, sir, I didn't come to the Senate to lament what is not right. And I know that in diplomacy, there is the law of reciprocity. What are the issues in South Africa? The president of South Africa did campaign openly that foreigners were taking the jobs that South African people could do. That is why his hands and his legs are tied. What is my response? These Nigerians who are in South Africa, they are not there on holiday. They are there to work and to earn. And which kind of job are they doing? There are two categories. Many are traders. Others are doing maybe some high-skilled jobs. So my view is that it is time to reciprocate. This Senate should adopt a position that MTN, a South African company that is cutting away millions of dollars from Nigeria every day, that Nigeria nationalize it and withdraw its license, so that Nigerian company can take over the MTN business and recruit more people. Those coming from South Africa will find good jobs working with the company that will replace MTN. And I know that South African president has interest in MTN. The second is that we ask the Minister of Communication of the federal government to revoke the DSTV, which is also a South African company that is cutting away millions of dollars, even abusing, resorting to practices that will not even be accepted in South Africa. I don't want this Senate to be shedding tears, to sympathize with those who have died. We didn't come here to shed tears, and I'm not going to shed tears. If you hit me, I hit you. I think it is appropriate in diplomacy. It's an economic struggle. What the black South Africans are saying is that Nigerians are taking their jobs. Okay, Nigerians, come home. I take over the job of MTN. Nigerians, come home. I take over the job of DSTV. When we hit back, the president of South Africa will not only talk, he will go on his knees to recognize that Nigerians cannot be intimidated, and we do not condone any war life being lost.
All right, you're welcome back to the program. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Perspectives Unlimited is live on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. Excuse me. And your state's number one family radio station. You just listen to the voice of Adam Soshomole on the floor of the house as regards the xenophobic attack going on in South Africa. The xenophobia, and of course how it concerns Nigerians and what he thinks is the best position to do Someone said to me that while he may not agree on Adams Oshomale's position, if this were to be a Nigerian business in South Africa right now, the South African government may probably take that decision. But if we do that in Nigeria, I believe Nigerians work there, and more Nigerians work there. I believe in each of the companies, there are probably no more than 5 people that work there, and so many other families that depend on these companies. What is the way forward? We look at that and more this morning. It's in similar stories on the front page of the Vanguard for today. And as always, we just touch down, say 1 or 2 stories that made the rounds in the course of the week. Mr. Lali Konsoni joins me in the studio this morning. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing today, and how has your week been?
I am doing very, very well. How about you?
Very well, thank you. All right, so let's start with the power sector. I listened to you on Agbeya yesterday morning when you did, maybe a quick spotlight on the new Minister of Power. And I said, Nigerians, calm down. He just became the minister. But the interesting thing I said to Sam Adele last night, since he became minister, I've not had power. And so I'm just thinking, sir, what's going on?
I thought I was alone. Since this guy became minister, I have not had power for 1 second in my house.
Oh, wow.
And that is a very bad omen. It's like he's starting the journey with the wrong...
Is that, again, I mean, that's on a lighter note, because that's about him. Before Adelabu left too, there was a time we didn't have power for weeks.
Someone like me would not really discuss Adelabu anymore because he's no longer there. I don't dwell on the past. I focus on the present and of course the future.
On the present.
Should anything go wrong with the power sector today, the first person to hold responsible is the president. After the president, the guy appointed by the president to oversee that sector. So it's the president today and Tebe, no longer the president and Adelabu.
The Senate on Wednesday confirmed the appointment of Ambassador Shola Enikolaye as the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and Joseph Ola Sunkami Tegbe as the Minister of Power, giving legislative backing to the President's latest cabinet reshuffle aimed at strengthening diplomacy and stabilizing the country's troubled electricity sector. The confirmation followed the nominee screening at the plenary, where they were subjected to scrutiny and they responded to questions from lawmakers before being cleared by the Senate. And right after that confirmation, that major headline made the rounds and on the lips of a lot of Nigerians. Hold me responsible if grid collapse continues. The new Minister of Power, Olasukomi Tegbe, on Wednesday assured Nigerians that the era of repeated national grid collapse, erratic power supply, and persistent vandalism of the power infrastructure would soon be brought under control, pledging urgent reforms to stabilize the country's troubled power sector. Tegbe gave the assurance during the screening at the plenary in Abuja, where he was later confirmed as the Minister of Power following questioning from lawmakers over the state of electricity sector in Nigeria. Congratulations to him. Well, this is a very big sector to step into, as we've been here since the day of NEPA. Transitioning to PHCN, and then the discos, and then the new names across major regions in Nigeria. Olasukomi Tegbe is definitely wearing one of the heaviest agbada in the cabinet of the government at a time like this. But let me get your view to, of course, that statement that we should hold him responsible. I'm not sure. I do not have facts now. Otherwise, I probably would have gone back to when Adelabu was also elected as the Minister of Power to compare some of the statements. If he also said anything,
I'm not sure
similar to
I'm
this.
not sure if Adelabu said that, but I am 100% sure the president said that. And should anything go wrong in the country, hold me responsible. I didn't beg for this job. I campaigned for this job. I know what this job is all about. So should I fail, don't give excuses on my behalf. Hold me responsible. As Mr. President Pastor failed, Mr. President has failed beyond measure. And yet, not just that, he is staying in office, he's also seeking a renewal of his 4-year term, meaning such a pledge holds no water in my country. Politicians do not understand what making a pledge means because were they to be fully aware of what it means, they won't be behaving the way they are behaving. So I will not, and I repeat emphatically, I will not be taking Joseph Olazokomi to be seriously on what he has said. I can only begin to take him seriously should the power situation begin to improve drastically. That is when I now say, okay, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. If it's about cho, count me out, bros. That's how they do.
Let's move to South Africa and talk about this xenophobia going on in South Africa. On the front page of the Vanguard for today, federal government moves to evacuate Nigerians from South Africa. The federal government has commenced agreement to evacuate Nigerians willing to return home from South Africa following renewed anti-foreigner protest and the rising tension in part of the country. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Bianca Odumego-Ojukwu, disclosed this yesterday after a telephone discussion with South Africa's Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Mr. Ronald Lomola, over recent demonstration and growing hostility against migrants, especially in Durban. According to Mrs. Ojukwu, the South African minister expressed a reservation about Nigerian evacuation plans, but she insisted the Nigerian government cannot ignore the continued harassment and illegal extrajudicial killings of its citizens living in South Africa. The minister urged South African authorities to treat reported killings of Nigerians with greater urgency, stressing that perpetrators must face immediate sanctions. She explained that although the protests held in Durban on Wednesday did not degenerate into violence due to the heavy deployment of security personnel, Nigerians in the area were advised by the Nigerian mission to shut their businesses and stay indoor for safety. All right, so Ojukwu also expressed concern over what she described as inflammatory rhetoric and hostile action by the anti-foreigner groups in South Africa, warning that the situation poses serious risk to the lives and property of Nigerians and Nigerian migrants in the nation. Meanwhile, as tension continued to mount over the incessant xenophobic violence against Nigerians, economic experts have warned against imposing blanket sanction on South African companies operating in the country, saying it will amount to self-sabotage. The call for caution came amid repeated calls from various quarters, including from the Senate, urging the federal government to go beyond diplomatic pressure and explore economic sanction, particularly targeting South African multinational companies operating in Nigeria. Senator Adams Oshiomhole from Edo North had at plenary in the Senate on Tuesday suggested that operating licenses of MTN Nigeria and MultiChoice Group, among others, should be revoked. Arguing for economic retaliation, Oshiomhole proposed nationalizing MTN Nigeria and suggested a 30-day boycott of its service. The lawmaker said that Nigeria must respond firmly to protect its citizens, citing the principle of international relation. Right, let's start with the statement made by Adams Oshiomhole, the one I played a while ago. Let me get your view on that statement made by Adams Oshiomhole. And as a part of this report here, the conversation that the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Ojukwu, had with the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation in South Africa, where the Punch described that the South African minister expressed reservation about the Nigerian execution. Well, it's just one word in several other letters. It carries a lot of weight. Why the reservation when you can always take action if indeed the government wants to do anything? Let's get your thought in. Adams Oshiomhole's statement and, of course, the reservation as described by the Vanguard.
Thank you very much. For Adam Oshiomhole, what he said didn't come to me as a surprise. I understand that Nigerian politicians lack grey matter. Because anybody with an atom's worth of brain wouldn't have said what he said. What he said is, as far as I'm concerned, a continuation of war against Nigeria and Nigerians. What exactly do we have in these places? Not one viable, in this particular place, South Africa, not one viable economic entity. What we have there is churches and mosques.
Nigeria.
Yes, in South Africa. What exactly do these people have in our own country? Companies giving us what our government cannot give us. I'm talking about jobs here. Can Adams Oshiomhole swear with his two eyes that doesn't have an MTN line? Can he swear with his head that he doesn't have the STV at home? Has he discontinued subscription to either of those two? But you will come online and begin to, in a very hallowed chamber, a place where dignity should be the order, and common sense should be the order of the day. You come there and begin to say nonsense. Thankfully, someone like that is not president right now, because he would have done exactly what he is saying, which would have meant a lot of negative things for Nigeria. I'm not just talking about people who are working there today. I'm talking about, the world is a global community at this particular point in time. Should you take such a step, trust me, for the next 20 years, your country will not attract a foreign investor because they will know that just a little disagreement can happen at any time. It does happen almost every day.
But can we call the xenophobia a little disagreement?
No, I'm coming there. I am coming there.
Right.
I have strong words for the South African government and South Africans themselves. But this is not, saying you want to withdraw the licenses of those companies is not going to solve the problem that is on the ground. It needs to know again that the telecoms company he's talking about is no longer owned by the South African entity. A lot of Nigerians actually have shares in that company today. They are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, meaning it is now owned by Nigerians. I'll be surprised if he doesn't have shares there. If he doesn't have shares there, can you tell us his children don't have shares there? Yet you are saying that, withdraw the license. That's a talk without connection to his deposit of common sense, if at all he has any. Now talking about what the South African government, it's I'm going to touch on 4 different entities here. The Nigerian government, the Nigerian people, the South African government, the South African people. Let's start with the Nigerian government. Why exactly are Nigerians living in Nigeria?
You know what? Let me hold your thought for a moment so we pay some bills. And when we come back, we start on a fresh plate.
Please,
I'd like to look at all of these angles one after another. You're still listening to Perspectives Unlimited on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. We're going to take a break now. And when we come back right after that break, we're going to dive straight into the body of the show, where we look at the South African issue and, of course, the primaries and all of the, storm and challenges in the APC as regards the primaries. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Let me guess, you enjoy talking. You always have something to say. And somehow, people actually enjoy listening to you. So why are you not on radio yet? What are you waiting for? Wells Radio Media Academy is giving you the perfect opportunity to become a certified broadcaster in just 6 weeks. You'll get hands-on studio experience, learn from industry professionals, and understand what it takes to actually own the mic. From radio presentation to news writing to public speaking and social media, everything you need all in one place. Admission is in progress right now as resumption is on the 18th of May 2026. Admission form is available for just 5,000 naira only. This is not one of those maybe someday opportunities. This is now. Don't just sit back and listen to other people shine. Step up and let your voice be heard. For further inquiries, call 0706 840 7359 or 0803 509 3394. Begin your journey to becoming a certified broadcaster today.
The Financial Services Regulation and Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, and the National Broadcasting Commission, NB